everyone, welcome back. It's Donna here on YouTube, Paper Dreamer 1. Just a really short video today. I thought I would just share with you my favorite dinner roll recipe. It's the day before Christmas, so we gotta get ready. Actually, I just finished cooking squash and turnip for my meal tomorrow, so it'll be all set. Actually, I call it turnip. You would probably call it rutabaga, but where I come from in Massachusetts, that's a staple when you're cooking turkey, or in my case, I'm cooking prime rib. So, but I'm going to make some rolls, and these rolls are so good, and they're so soft, and they're so sweet. And actually, it's a recipe from Betty Crocker, and I will show you the recipe right here. Okay, and I can list it down below, but it says here, Betty bread machine dinner rolls, and you can just go to bettycrocker.com and look it up. Now, I am going to use the bread machine today, and I will link the bread machine I have down in the description box. I love my bread machine for making dough. I very rarely ever cook a loaf of bread in it, although I make bread quite often. But I do love it for making dough. It takes all the work out of the whole thing. Now, I'm used to making bread. As a young married, I made it every Saturday with home-baked beans, and I didn't have a bread machine, and I didn't have a stand mixer with a dough hook like I have now. So I used the old-fashioned way, called a wooden spoon and elbow grease. And so it's not hard to make. It's not a big batch of dough, so it's not too hard to handle. This calls for 3 teaspoons of bread yeast, or regular yeast, it says, or active dry yeast. So if you were going to make it in a bowl, I would just use the 3 teaspoons of active dry yeast. Now, active dry yeast in a package is approximately 2 1/4 teaspoons. So I think what I would do is just open 2 packages into a little cup and then measure out 3 teaspoons, and then I'd be sure. Now, the difference that I have found between active dry yeast and bread machine yeast is that you don't have to proof bread machine yeast, where I like to proof the regular active dry yeast. No big deal. You would simply add it to your water with a little bit of your sugar and let it proof for 5 or 10 minutes, and then begin the rest of your menu, recipe, sorry. So I'm not going to hold up much longer because everybody's got so much to do today. And I'm going to move down and just show you how I put this dough recipe together. Hold on, be right back. Okay, here I am. And now what I'm going to show you here is when I use my bread machine, I take this pan out and put all my ingredients in, then put it in the machine. And the reason is that one time I put all the ingredients in and went to turn the machine on and realized the pan was not in it. Well, that was the end of that bread machine because all of the wet ingredients were down inside the apparatus. So to save my own sanity, I take the pan out. It's not a big deal. So it starts off with 1 cup of water, and my water is quite warm. It's about 110 degrees. And the next thing I'm going to have is 2 tablespoons of softened butter or margarine, and I'm just going to, this is just about what I have left in my butter dish, so I'm just going to kind of empty this out and put that in there. Okay. And the next ingredient it calls for is 1 egg. Now what I'm going to do is just take this spatula, and I dropped it on the apparatus in the middle, so it kind of broke it up, but I'm just going to kind of squish the egg around a little bit just to see that it's broken up. Okay, and the next thing is 3 1/4 cups of bread flour. Now I just filled this so it could prove to be interesting trying to get this flour out of here, but we'll see. Okay, now what I do with my flour and I can't really show you here. I tap it to make sure it's filled the cup. Then I take the back of a butter knife and just go along the top and even it off, okay? So that's one. There's two. And this is bread flour. And that's three. And here's a quarter. 3 1/4 cups of bread flour. The next thing it's asking for is 1/4 cup of sugar. And that's because the yeast loves sugar. Now, I'm putting them in the order my bread machine manufacturer recommends. This all goes in the top, and I'm going to make a well for my yeast so it doesn't touch any of the wet. I'm going to put in 1 teaspoon of salt. And 3 teaspoons of bread machine yeast. This is the bread machine yeast. Now what I'm going to do is to dig a little hole in my flour and then add the yeast in here. 3 teaspoons. I'll get this flour container out of the way and pull this forward. And let me just raise you up a little bit so you can see the machine. Okay, I'm going to open the machine, and this just fits down inside. Okay, on the front it says menu select, and I know that number 9 is a dough selection, so I'm just going to go till I get to number 9 and press start, and that's it. Now, a bread machine dough settings take 1.5 hours. So in 1.5 hours, I'll come back and we'll continue putting the rolls together. Back in a bit. Okay, here we are. This is 1.5 hours later, and I just wanted to show you what this looks like when it comes out of the machine. It's nice and puffy. It says to put it on a lightly floured surface, and it really doesn't need too much flour, because it's a really good dough. There's a little mixer. And a secret, if you take some dough in your hands and go in your pan, it'll take all the rest of the dough off the side of the pan. Dough that sticks to the dough. And then you can just add it in. This is not too sticky. And it really says, to let it set for 10 minutes. So I'm going to just leave it be for just a few minutes, put a little towel over it, and I'll be right back. Okay, I've let it set, and I've divided it into 4, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13 pieces. I think it says 15. I don't usually get 15. And what I'm just going to do now is I flatten a little bit. I bring it up through my fingers, make a nice little ball, and put the rough side on the bottom, okay? And I'm just going to fill up this pan as much as I can. This is about a 9 by 13. I think the recipe actually says a cookie sheet, but I like them in the casserole dish better. And I'm going to tell you a little hint that I'm going to do, and I'll do it right now as soon as I tell you. I'm going to turn my oven on to 200 to preheat to 200, but I'm only going to leave it preheating for 1 minute and then turn it off. I'll be right back. Okay, and that is just going to put a little warmth in that oven. I think I get 3 there. And it will help for the second rising. It should take about 30 minutes to rise again. It's such a nice dough to work with. It doesn't stick. That's a little small. Okay, there goes the oven. So it's now shut off. And I'm going to take a clean towel and I'm going to go over this pan and I'm going to set them in that oven, and in about half an hour they'll be ready to bake. So I'll clean up this mess and I'll be back when they're ready to bake. Okay guys, I didn't show you the video of them just risen, but I did take a picture that I'll insert right here. But here they are, fresh out of the oven. And I wish I could tell you how you should have smell-o-vision. And this has 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. This is 15. I couldn't count very good the first time, but this is 15. That's what the recipe calls for it to make. Sometimes I get 16 out of it. And I'm not going to touch them because they are 350 degrees right now. But I can guarantee you that with a nice butter, I could probably sit down and eat half this pan. So I'm not going to take the first one. Now, the recipe says that you can add butter to the tops of these when they come out. I think that's a good idea if you're going to be serving them right now, but I'm not serving these until tomorrow. So I'm going to let these cool on a rack, and then I can cover them up and bag them up, and they'll be all set tomorrow. In the meantime, I thought I'd just show you, I was waiting for my peanut butter fudge to set, which it has, so now I'm going to cut that and package it up. And last night I made Christmas crack. For those of you who don't know, let me just come up here. I'm talking to myself. There we go. For those of you who don't know what Christmas crack is, it's made with saltines and sort of a caramel base, butter and brown sugar, and then chocolate chips, and I put peanuts on the top of it. And, you know, I have to tell you, you know, you taste a little of this and you taste a little of that, and I've had so much sweets taste, and I'm not really a sweets eater as big as I am. I'm more of a carb eater. I like my pastas and my breads. I told you I could eat half that pan. So, but you keep tasting a little bit, and I guess that's fine. It's fine. It's Christmas, and that's when you do and enjoy. So I have some gifts to put together with the Christmas crack and the fudge, and that's what I'm going to do, and that's the last I have to do for the holiday season. As I said, I did my vegetables this morning. I'll do my prime rib and my potato tomorrow, and then we'll have a lovely Christmas day. So I'm wishing you all great Christmas, happy holidays, Enjoy your family, enjoy your time. Be thankful for all the blessings that you have, and pray for those who will not have those blessings this Christmas. And don't forget, happy birthday, Jesus. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.